Welcome to Warhammer 40,000 presented by MGM. Today the Necrons march on the Dark Angels in the mission Only War. We are playing with Incursion forces today. The Necrons will be an Awakened dynasty led by an Overlord. He has the enhancement Hypermaterial Ablator. A Skorpek Lord will be on the field with the Veil of Darkness enhancement. Battle line troops include 10 warriors, 5 immortals. They have a unit of Canoptic Wraiths, Locust Destroyers, Skorpek Destroyers, Tomb Blades, Scarab Swarms, and a Canoptic Reanimator. The list clocks in at 960 points. The Dark Angels are led by a Primaris Lieutenant, 2 units of Intercessors, a Bike Squad, 2 units of Terminators, and a unit of Deathwing Knights. Today our mission is Only War, starting with the second battle round. At the end of each player's command phase, the players whose turn it is scores 1 VP for each marker they control, to a maximum of 3 per turn. With the armies deployed, the Dark Angels will have the first turn. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoy the video. This is our first game of 10th edition, and turn 1 is coming up next. And with turn 1 coming up, Oath of Moment being dropped onto the Necron warriors, we've got the Terminators that are going to move forward 5 inches. A unit of Intercessors will follow alongside them. There is a grenade launcher in both of these groups. The Bike Squad activates and they move forward towards the center of the board. On the Dark Angel right flank, we do have some Terminators that are moving forward, and they are going to roll up and advance, get a 6. And they will advance forward 6 inches. And right beside them, we do have another unit of Intercessors. This one has the Lieutenant attached to it. I'm proxying a model for the Lieutenant. I thought I had one, and it turned out I did not. And we move into the shooting phase, where we do have the Intercessors on the Dark Angel left flank, opening up into the Necron warriors. And first, the grenade launcher is going to fire. There's one of these in each group. Those D3 shots, that's going to be 1, but it will get 2 for blast, so 3 in total. The Ablator on the leader makes them 1 harder to hit, so these are actually on 4s, getting that reroll for Oath of Moment. With 2 successes, we're looking for 4s to wound, and rerolling for Oath of Moment, there'll be 2 wounds. The Ablator also gives them the benefit of cover, so 3 ups are needed, 1 fail takes down a warrior, and we've then got the bolt rifles that will open up. This is 8 shots hitting on 4s due to stealth. Getting a much needed reroll from Oath of Moment. And there's only 5 hits. And once again, looking for 4s to wound, only 2 wounds. AP1 will negate cover, so looking for 4s, and those are both good. The Deathwing Terminators open up next with the Assault Cannon. They do get a +1 to hit for being Deathwing and targeting them for Oath of Moment, but that is being negated by stealth. 6 shots come out from the Assault Cannon, getting a reroll for Oath of Moment, and that will be all 6 that convert into hits. Strength 6 will put them on 3s to wound, getting some rerolls for Oath of Moment, and we do have several 6s out there which are devastating wounds. These cause mortal wounds. So that'll be 3 Necron warriors taking it down with 3 mortal wounds. They'll take saves on the other 2, and looks like there's going to be another fail. Next we have 8 Storm Bolters that are firing out again, hitting on 3s as Deathwing is offsetting stealth. Getting those rerolls for Oath of Moment, and this is going to need 4s to wound, Strength 4, Toughness 4. The end result after rerolls is going to be 5 wounds. The Ablator is giving cover, so it will increase their save to a 3-up. And he nails the roll. All of those are saved. We then turn our attention to the center of the board, where we have twin-linked bolt guns starting to unload from the Biker Squad. These bikes get 2 shots each, and they'll be hitting on 4s due to stealth, getting those rerolls coming out for Oath of Moment. Strength 4 on Toughness 4 will need 4s to wound, and they will get rerolls on those as well. The result is 5 wounds that will all be saved, but that unit will need to test for Battle Shock in their command phase. Over on the Dark Angel's right flank, the Intercessors fire with a grenade launcher. D3 hits, that's 2 plus 1 for blast, so 3 in total. Be hitting on 3s on these. Immortals have a toughness of 5, so 5s will be needed in order to wound, and that's good. There's no AP, and that is saved on a 3-up. Bolt rifles then take aim. They hit on 3s. We do reroll 1 for a cock die here. Strength 4 against toughness 5 is going to require 5s to wound. It does appear that we let a 4 slide through right here. Counted that as 2 damage. Should just be 1. Even with AP 1, both are saved. The master-crafted bolt rifle fires needing 2s to hit. Should be 5s to wound here. We let that 4 slip through again. I think we thought that their toughness was 4. It's not. It's 5. They actually failed the save here, and 1 will go down. Turn 1 for the Dark Angels comes to a close. Cannot score in this one. The Deathwing Knights are still up in orbit somewhere. We're moving over to the Necrons for the bottom of turn 1. And both sides will tick up a command point. The reanimation protocols for these warriors regenerate all 6 of them back, so they are back to full strength. Now, we were unsure if we rolled for reanimation prior to Battle Shock or not. The Immortals did get 1 model back, so they go back to full strength as well. We then go ahead and test for Battle Shock. They do fail, so this reduces their OC, and they can't have any stratagems played on them. Meanwhile, the Scorpec Destroyers move off the battlefield with the Veil of Darkness, looking to reappear in a future turn. As we go to the movement phase, the Scarab Swarms are going to make a move. The Wraiths are going to come through the ruins here, moving at 9 inches. We've then got Tomb Blades on the move along the Necron right flank. The Locust Destroyers will take this opportunity to move forward as well, getting one of their models onto the objective. We then move into the shooting phase, and the Necron Warriors are going to open up into the Intercessors across the board. They do get a +1 to hit due to command protocols, so hitting on 3s. 10 shots come out, and these will be on strength 4, and that 6 is going to be a lethal hit. Lethal hits do auto wound, the rest require 4s to wound. It'll be a total of 5 that go through, and they will be saving on 3s. No AP on this weapon. The Intercessors do fail 1 save, end up taking 1 wound. With the Overlord out of range, we move over to the Tomb Blades. 2 shots each from their twin Gauss Blasters. These are lethal hits and twin linked, so 6s will auto wound, and there will be one of those on the board. Now, these shots are strength 5 against their toughness of 4, so 3s will be needed to wound, and they will get to re-roll for twin linked. AP1 puts the Intercessors on 4-up saves, and they end up failing 2, so 1 is cut down and a wound applied to another. Action continues on the Necron left flank, where the 3 Locust Destroyers fire with their Gauss Cannons. These do have lethal hits, 3 attacks each, so 9 in total. Ballistic skill is 3. They are targeting the Deathwing Terminators with Thunderhammer Storm Shields. They are going to get some auto wounds here. They do re-roll a hit roll of 1 due to Hardwired for Destruction, and they get several hits that are going through, rolling up to wound, needing 4s at strength 5. With 3 wounds in total at AP2, takes their 2-up save to 4 ups. They will end up failing all of these. One of them will be cut down, and another one will be taken down to a single wound remaining. The Immortals line up fire next at the same target, 2 attacks each, so 10 in total. Ballistic skill is 3 and an abysmal roll. Now these are strength 5, so they will need 4s in order to convert to wounds, and they will get to re-roll due to implacable eradication. So re-rolls coming back out looking for 4s, and it looks like 2 of these are going to convert. AP1 puts them on 3-up saves, and 1 is failed. Dark Angel is going to use a command point reroll to try to keep him alive, and it fails. That's another Deathwing Terminator off the board. In the charge phase, the Canoptic Wraiths roll up an 11, easily make it into combat with the Bikers. On the other side of the board, the Scarab Swarms attempting to get into combat with the Deathwing Terminators to slow them down. Unfortunately, they are not going to make it. With a fight phase, the Vicious Claws gives 12 total attacks, weapon skill is 4, and it is strength 6. That means 3s to wound at AP -1, so a pretty decent hit roll. The wound roll not so lucky, however. There's only going to be 2 on the board. AP1 puts their saves up to 4. That puts 2 wounds on a biker. They then fight back. First, the Astartes Chainsword lands 3 hits, but it needs 5s to wound as these guys are toughness 6. That does not happen. The other 2 are just fighting with normal base attacks. They are going to land 2 hits, and again, needing 5s to wound, unsuccessful. And while these 2 units stay locked up in combat, this is going to bring the Necrons' bottom of turn 1 to a close. As we look forward to turn 2, we are going to make a slight correction, as the Storm Shield gives a total wound of 4 instead of 3. We're going to put one of them back with a wound remaining. The Dark Angels go to 2 command points, Necrons up to 3. And the Dark Angels will score 2 points in their command phase before diving into movement, Intractable being played for 1 CP, which is going to allow these bikes to get out of combat with the Wraiths. The Wraiths have received Oath of Moment from the Dark Angels this turn. We've got Terminators that are going to start moving up the right flank. Over on the Dark Angels' left flank, we have more Terminators on the move. The Intercessors actually removed one of their members off the point here, so they're going to have to use a move to get back on it. The remaining Intercessors are going to hold their position, and we've got a deep strike coming down as the Deathwing Knights now show up on the table behind enemy lines. With movement concluded, we go into the shooting phase where the Bikers are going to open up at the Wraiths, the twin-linked bolters firing 6 shots in total. And they will need 3s in order to hit. They are eligible to fire due to Intractable, getting some rerolls for Oath of Moment, and that's going to be 5 hits. Going to be looking for 5s in order to wound, getting rerolls here, much needed from Oath of Moment. With only 1 wound, it is a 3-up save for the Wraith, and that is successful. Alongside them, the Deathwing Terminators will open up into the Wraiths, first firing the Assault Cannon. This is going to be 6 shots, and it will hit on 2s due to the Deathwing special rule. And rerolls aplenty for the Astartes. This is going to need 4s to wound, strength 6 against toughness 6. And those wound roll of 6s will cause mortal wounds. This is due to the Devastating Rules ability. There's no AP on the Assault Cannon, so just 3s in order to make the saves, and those are good. Up next we have 4 Storm Bolters dumping into the Wraiths, and this is going to be 16 total shots, hitting on anything but 1 due to Deathwing. And getting those rerolls there where we didn't get the 1, all of those go through. This is going to require 5s to wound, however, and there are several 5s and 6s on the board. For the ones that aren't, we are going to reroll those back out. And there'll be a few more conversions out there. Going to have numerous 3-up saves to make on this one, 11 in total. Save rolls come out, and it's pretty good. There'll be a handful of wounds that go through. One of the Wraiths will be taken down, and another is going to receive a wound. With shooting from the Terminators concluded, we move to the Intercessors. We do have 2 bolt rifles with line of sight to these Wraiths. They're going to fire out 2 shots apiece, and they're going to be hitting on 3s. Strength 4, they'll be looking for 5s on 3 dice and getting those rerolls back out. Critical on some of these, not landing any damage. And then they're able to convert 2. That's going to put these guys on 3-up saves. And with both saves failed, it will take down another Wraith. If there was 1 remaining, we got a crack grenade that goes out. It does myth, but Oath of Moment gets the reroll. That lands a hit on 3s. Strength 9 just needs 3s to convert. He gets it on the reroll. AP 2, it takes their save up to a 5, and that's easily made on a 6. Up next we have more Intercessors. First a crack grenade shot coming across, and that is going to be re-rolled due to a cocked die. The initial shot is a miss. The re-roll is also a miss. Bolt rifles then take aim. They have the heavy ability, so since these guys didn't move, they're actually going to hit on 2s. And just about all of these are going to convert. We are going to roll out to wound. Needs 5s here, and due to Oath of Moment, getting a much needed reroll. After a handful of conversions, there will be 3-up saves owed from the Lone Wraith, 4 to be exact, and he is all good. The Primaris Lieutenant fires his master-crafted bolt rifle, and he hits on 2s easily. We often forget that having him in the group grants the lethal special rule, so their hits of 6 are automatically wounds. The Wraith is going to fail his save. Goes down to 1 wound remaining. We do have a Stormbolter firing a rapid fire from the Terminators here, hitting on 2s. He's the only one that does not have a Thunderhammer Storm Shield. He's going to get rerolls on the wounds, needing 5s, nothing to convert there. Up next in the charge phase, the Deathwing Knights need to roll up a 9 to get into contact. They fall short, using a command point to re-roll, and it's no good. Another group of Terminators on the right flank, trying to get into contact with the Locust Destroyers, rolls up a double 1. The Bikers announce a charge into the Wraiths, which is successful, easily making it into contact with a 7. And then we have more Terminators announcing a charge into the Tomb Blades, need an 11, they fall short as well. The fight phase starts, and we have an Astartes Chainsword with 3 attacks. We'll be hitting on 3s. And Oath of Moment still works in the fight phase, I believe. All of those are going to hit, and it will need 5s in order to wound, getting a reroll, and that is going to be just 1. AP1 puts him on a 4-up save. That is failed. They are going to use a command point reroll to see if he can stick around, and it is not going to be successful. That Wraith will be taken off the board. The Bikers do consolidate, and that brings the Dark Angels turn 2 to a close. Both sides tick up a command point. The Necrons will score 2 victory points, tying our game up, and everyone is going to hold steady. Veil of Darkness is revealed, and the Scorpec Destroyers arrive back on the battlefield. The Necrons decide to play Protocol of the Conquering Tyrant, as the Warriors are going to start to take aim at these Knights. This allows them to re-roll their wounds, and they get +1 to hit here, so hitting on 3s. A lot of them are in rapid fire range, so getting 2 shots. And they are getting an opportunity to re-roll these at full range due to the leader being part of the group. The rolls actually turn out to be pretty good, and it's going to force 2-up saves, and the Terminators make them all. The Overlord is going to fire his Tachyon arrow, and he's going to make a hit. This is a pretty brutal attack, could kill one of these guys, and he rolls up a 1 to wound. Going to use a command point reroll here, looking for anything but, as it's strength 16 or something, and he still rolls up a 1. It just was not meant to be. The Tomb Blades then decide to fire into them as well. 6 total shots hitting on 3s. One of those 6s will auto wound. The rest are looking for 4s at strength 5. There will be 2 more, 3 in total. AP1 puts him on a 3-up save, and those are good again. The Locust Destroyers tee up next with Gauss Cannons, 9 shots going directly into the Terminators in front of them, trying to slow down their progression across the board. They will get a few wounds out there for lethal hits. The rest are going to be duds, however. Pretty awful roll. Just needs 4s to wound at strength 5, and it looks like only 3 of these are going to convert. AP2 puts him on a 4-up save. There is one that's failed. A command point reroll will come out here to try to keep him alive, just to force more fire. It is successful. So it looks like they will have to target them with the Immortals as well. The Immortals let loose with 2 shots each, and they do have lethal hits. So some of those auto-converting into wounds. Strength 5, so just needs 4s. And these are AP1, so taking them to a 3-up save, they've got a lot of them to make, and that's a pretty good roll. Looks like 2 are going to fail, and that is going to take down one of those Terminators and take a wound off another. The Necrons then announce a charge with the Scorpec Destroyers into the Intercessors, looking for a 9, and they do not get it. They'll be short, and that brings the Necrons' turn to a close. And we notice that we totally forgot those Scarabs that are working their way around the bottom. Both sides tick up a command point, and we gear up for turn 3. And the Oath of Moment drops on the Necron Warriors. We've got the Deathwing Knights that are going to move forward. Terminators begin to surge forward as well. The Bike Squad swings down just to the right of the Terminators on the Dark Angel left flank. We've got an advance being played by the Intercessors as they're going to attempt to block the Scorpec Destroyers, just not quite getting enough. They needed one more inch. Intercessors on the Dark Angel right flank decide to move to bring those Scarabs into visibility. The Thunderhammer Storm Shield Terminators are going to march forward as well. In the shooting phase, we do have the Intercessors opening up with their bolt rifles. They do have the assault rule, so getting to take shots at them. It'll be 6 in total, hitting on 3s. With 4 hits, the wound roll is not going to get it done. On the other side of the board, Assault Cannon from the Terminators firing into the Tomb Blades. It should be 4s here due to the Evasion Ingrams. We do mop up a 3 here, and it's 3s to wound, Strength 6, Toughness 5, 3 wounds, and they will save one of those. The Tomb Blades do save on 3s due to Shield Veins. Next up, we've got 16 shots coming from Storm Bolters. They'll be hitting on 4s as well. Wound roll of 5 is needed, 2 will go through, and again, 3 up saves required. Both are good, and we move to the Bikes, who are going to fire into the Necron Warriors. Just 6 shots here, should hit on 4s due to the enhancement on the Overlord. And it wounds on 4s as well. A great wound roll, and the saves to be taken needing 4s, and they're going to be all good but 1. On the other flank, we have Terminators, a Storm Bolter firing into the Locust Destroyers. It'll be 4 shots rapid fire, needing at 3s. It's going to get 2 hits, it will be 5s to wound. The lone Terminator will land a wound, and it's easily going to be saved by the Destroyers. On the Dark Angel's right flank, the Intercessors fire into the Scarab Swarms, needing 3s, and these guys do have lethal hits due to the HQ being attached to them. They get 2 auto wounds before rolling out looking for 2s, and all but 1 will convert. Saves roll out looking for 6s, and all of them fail. That's going to cut down a stand and take another down to 2 wounds. Mastercrafted Bolt Rifle fires, hitting on 2s, lands 1 more hit, and will convert on a 2 as well, no wound. The Grenade fires D3 shots, it's going to be 3, plus 1 will be 4. And looking for 3s to hit, and it will be again 2s to wound. Saves will be taken, again looking for 6s, and that'll be 2 fails, and that means 1 more stand will be removed. In the charge phase, the Deathwing Knights are going to launch into the Necron Warriors, easily making it into contact. Necrons spend a CP to Overwatch. They do get a plus 1 to hit, so this will be on 5s. And there are 2 out there. These guys are rapid fire. We do fire with the Staff of Light, gets triple 6s. And we remember rapid fire, we go back, give the Necrons some more shots, and they are going to convert 4 more hits on 5s. All the 6s out here are lethal hits. We do roll out the rest looking for 5s, and there will be 2 more wounds to convert, so 3 plus 4, 7 wounds in total. The Staff of Light only converts 1 wound. It will be an AP2, however, taking a save to 4, and that save is going to be failed. With no AP on the other, 1 more is failed. One of the Knights takes 2 wounds. Continuing with the charge phase, Terminators are going to try to launch into contact against the Tomb Blades. They end up failing this charge, however. The Bikes are going to launch into contact with the Tomb Blades in a charge they can't fail. And on the other side of the board, Terminators are launching into contact with the Locust Destroyers. We launch into the fight phase. The Deathwing Knights, the Flail of the Unforgiven, has got 5 tacks, hitting on 3s due to the HQ being in this unit, and its Strength 6, AP 2, just lashes out a ton of damage. This unit does have Oath of Moment against them, so getting to reroll hits and wounds really turns into be a disaster for these warriors as they are trying to save these on 6s. And after 4 warriors are taken down, Mace of Absolutions are swinging, 4 attacks each, it's 16 in total. They're going to hit on 3s as well with a strength of 6, so wounding on 3s and AP 1, 3 damage apiece on these. They're going to wipe these warriors out, as well as the Overlord. After all that mayhem, the Necrons have to throw out the protocol of the Eternal Guardian for a CP. This will allow their character to stay alive with half his health and 1 inch away. In some of the other combats happening across the board, the Bikers are in a melee with the Tomb Blades. Astartes Chainsword is lashing out, and this is going to be hitting on 4s, should be on 4s at least, due to the evasive Ingrams. The bikers do end up putting 1 wound onto the Tomb Blades, and then we move over to the Terminators on the other side of the board as they attack the Destroyers, first off with their Thunderhammer Storm Shields. Thunderhammer Storm Shield, 3 attacks each on 4, so 6 in total. It does carry devastating wounds, strength 8, so wounds on 3s, and it's AP 2, 2 damage each. The Destroyers owe a 5-up save, and they get it with a 6. The Destroyers leading off of the Necrons, they pile in and take swings, get a great hit roll, but an abysmal wound roll. We got a little wrapped up here. We forgot about the Power Sword on the Sergeant here, so we let him swing. It's a great hit roll. This is strength 5, however, so it will need 5 snorted wound. He does get 2 6s. AP 2 on this weapon, and 2 saves are going to fail, so it does look like one of those Destroyers will be taken down to 1 wound. The Dark Angel's turn will conclude, and a great turn 3, as they were able to wipe out the Necron's unit. Still have some work to do on that objective, especially with that Reanimator floating around, and he has a pretty strong objective-controlled stat. The Necrons only score 1 point this turn in their command phase, as the objective-controlled is tied on this southern point right here. Both sides will tick up a command point. We're going to reanimation protocols. And with that Canoptic Reanimator close by, it's 2d3. These Destroyers are going to get their wounds back. The Overlord is going to get his wounds back as well. One of the Tomb Blades will come back at full strength, and the Scarab Swarms will get a stand back as well. And we do have some shuffling around in the movement phase. The Scorpec Destroyers are going to get an inch away from the Intercessors. The Overlord is going to relocate, looking to charge into the bikes. The Canoptic Reanimator is going to get on the point with an OC of 3. Shooting phase kicks off, the Reanimator firing the Atomizer Beam. 3 attacks, hitting on 4s. It is strength 6 and AP 2, but only 1 damage. It's easily saved, and the Staff of Light fires into them as well. 3 attacks on 2s. This is strength 5, so it does wound on 4s. AP2 takes them to a 4-up save, and 2 of those are going to fail. That is going to take out one of the Deathwing Knights. And that's all for shooting, and we go into the charge phase, and the Immortals are going to charge into the Terminators. The Scorpec Destroyers will launch into the Intercessors in a charge they can't fail. And we'll go right into the fight phase with these guys, these hyperphase weapons, 4 attacks each, so there's 12 of them coming out. Weapon skill of 3, strength 7, AP 2, and they are going to annihilate these Intercessors. While only 3 go through, the AP 2 takes them to a 5, all of them are failed, and that's immediately 3 of the Intercessors taken down. The Lone Sergeant is easily displaced by the Scorpec Lord, and they consolidate 3 inches and just get enough to be on the point. We go over to the Immortals. They're going to get 10 attacks with a weapon skill of 3. Just strength 4, so they will need 5s to wound. It's not bad out of this batch, as they will land 4 wounds. It's just 2 up saves for these Terminators, though. Only 1 will stick. The Overlord is equipped with a Staff of Light in combat, 4 attacks on 2s with devastating wounds. Strength 8 and AP 3, 2 damage. He hits and wounds with everything. AP 2 takes it to a 5-up save, and 1 fails, so one of those bikers goes down. Over on the Necron left flank, we roll up for the 2 Thunderhammers as well as the Power Sword. This is going against the Devastators. They're only going to take 2 wounds off of one of them. And while the Locust Destroyers attack back and get a wound through, it's easily saved by the Terminator's armor. And still tied up on the Necron right flank, we have the bikes and the Tomb Blades, and neither of these are able to do enough damage to remove models, and they will stay locked up in combat until turn 4. So while turn 3 wraps up, the Dark Angels are making a lot of progress and work, but the Necrons are proving to be very sticky in this one. Alright, turn 4 on the horizon. Both sides will tick up a command point. Oath of Moment being played on the Reanimator, and the Knights are going to get into range of a charge to which they can't fail. The Terminators move to the objective as well. The Dark Angels did not score this one due to the Reanimator having the objective control of 3. They only got 1 at the start of turn 4. For shooting, the Intercessors are going to take down the Scarab Swarms. They will be finished off by a crack grenade. Shots fire from the Assault Cannon into the Reanimator, and getting those rerolls for Oath of Moment been very crucial for the Dark Angels in this game. And while the Assault Cannon does not do any damage to the Reanimator, it's the Stormbolters firing out rapid fire. hitting on 2s due to Deathwing, and just all of them hit. There's 16 in total, but it does need 5s in order to wound, and getting rerolls here for Oath of Moment. There's going to be quite a few wounds out there. The Reanimator takes saves and will fail 4, so that would be enough to kill it. It's going to use a command point to reroll and stay alive with 1 wound. This is going to force a charge from the Deathwing Knights. The Terminators lunging into contact with the Overlord, easily going to make it into combat, and then the Knights charge into the Reanimator. The Knights make short work of the Reanimator, and not a whole lot done in other combats across the board. The Terminators did swing with their Power Fists, but they are hitting on 4s. All shots going against the Overlord. They do not get enough damage on him to kill him, however. On the other side of the board, combat here is still at a standstill, as the Immortals, although they get 10 attacks, they do wound on 5s, and the Deathwing Terminators have 2-up saves, just unable to get anything done here. The power weapon does turn its attention to the Immortals, and it will take down 2 of them. But the Thunderhammers whiff, and just not a lot happening with this combat here, or with the Bikers and the Tomb Blades, no damage done on that side of the board as well. And we move to the Necrons for their turn. They simply just reanimate these guys back. They also reanimate the Destroyers back to full. And the Overlord will reanimate all of his wounds back as well. The Necrons do score 2 victory points to tie this game back up. And in the fight phase, once again, nobody could be shifted. And we are just simply going to go up to the Dark Angels for turn 5. They have an OC4 on these objectives here, so they are outscoring the Necrons. They get 2 points. The Deathwing Terminators are going to move, and if they can make it into contact with the Immortals, this could be the swing in the game that the Dark Angels need. We're going to go ahead and roll that out, and while it does fail, they do use a command point to re-roll that back out. Get a 5, that is easily going to take them into combat. The Flail ends up taking down a handful of Necrons. They were declared for Oath of Moment for obvious reasons, getting rerolls. But it's the crushing weight of the Mace of Absolution, with 16 attacks coming through, that totally annihilate this unit. They consolidate 3 inches to get on the objective. This will give the Dark Angels an OC of 3 on this objective to the Necrons 2. The Necrons just controlling 1 objective now in the backfield in their command phase, and that is going to bring our game to a close. So the Necrons are going to fall 1 victory point short in this one. This was a pretty long game to film, and we got a little bit of rules fatigue. It was difficult to kind of remember everything that's going on. I'm going to post a separate video with my thoughts on our first game and 40k overall for 10th edition. So feel free to stay tuned for that. Big thank you to the Coffee Supporters Club. Your names are on the screen now. If you'd like any information on that, links will be down in the description below. Quite frankly, if you've watched the video this far, you've done more than enough to support my channel, so I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.